Basic training. All right, basic training was interesting, to say the least. But after you got into basic training, there were some things that were interesting to me. And that is, when I would get in line in the mess to go to the mess hall every morning, I couldn't stand the smell of eggs and bacon and ham and French toast all cooking at the same time. And right where the line was to go to the door, there was a big air vent. And all that stuff was coming through that air vent. Made me sick. It's breakfast time. I couldn't even go in. I'd get so sick. So I'd get out of line, I'd go back to the barracks and try to prepare for the rest of the day. So that was one thing that really stuck to me. Some other things that happened was, a lot of people when you get out of basic, you got a lot of stories to tell. Well, I don't have a whole lot of stories, but I'll tell you one thing. Here's a couple. When we returned from the rifle range, one guy kept his bayonet. He didn't turn that into the supply. And the reason was he hated his drill sergeant. Really bad. So bad he wanted to kill him. And so one day next morning actually, we were standing on the steps outside the barracks. So I'm sitting there talking to a friend, and this guy jumped from the top steps all the way down to where the drill sergeants were. And he was going to kill his drill sergeant. Unfortunately, I got in the way. He kicked me in the back, fell over the top of me, hit the ground, and some other guys came over, took the bayonet away from him, and he went to court. And when he did, he got, I forgot how long, but he was automatically sent straight to jail. When we would get back from the rifle range, some guys would keep a bullet with them. And as soon as you got back, you were supposed to clean your weapon. So what these guys would do is they would take their rifle into the barracks to clean it there, and they had that one round with them. And one guy got a Dear John letter, and it just tore him up. He was in bad shape, to the point that he stuck that round in his rifle, put it under his chin, pulled the trigger, and that was it. Gone to the wind. He was deceased. So that happened 3 times, I think, when I was in basic training, for 3 different reasons. But one of the other reasons was that some guys thought, I'm going to Vietnam. I don't want to die in Vietnam. I don't want to be mangled and come back missing a leg or an arm or something like that. So I'm going to end it right now. And the same thing, did the same, performed it the same way. I didn't understand that. I mean, come on. If you're a Christian, you got to believe that everything's going to work out right or wrong, however you decide it's going to be. But that's not the way to go out. But they did. So, okay, to continue with basic training, things we did in basic training. We had to learn garrison skills, which is basically for inspections. how to put your uniform on. So when the drill sergeant came over to you, he could look at all the stuff that you did and that you got it on all straight and not in the way of any kind. And military customs and courtesies and strict adherence to the drill sergeant. Now, I'm reading all this from something that I already wrote up, just to let you know. Also, we had mandatory training with the M17 gas mask. You had to put it on, clear it, and which was basically put your hands on the cheek pieces and suck in. And if you couldn't suck in, then it was cleared. And then what I had to do was, they had this big tent set up, and inside the tent they had like gas, different kinds of gas, but basically it was like riot gas. But anyway, it simulated a gas attack. So while you were in there, the sergeant was walking around, looking at everybody, making sure they had their gas mask on and it was all sealed like it was supposed to be. And then they would tell you to take it off. You had to take it off. You didn't have to breathe anything if you could help it. And then you had to put it back on and clear it. And then at that time, they wanted you to say something. But you had some gung-ho people in there, but not me. I could barely talk. So I put it back on and ran out the back door, as everybody did. And we're all running in this field, gasping for air, blowing our nose and coughing. It was an experience, let's put it that way. Not one that I would ever want to do again, and do remember quite well. So we also had to learn basic training of first aid, basic field casualty training. And that's where they had this fake blood, and one guy would be wearing it. He put it on, and they have tubes coming out here and there, and it looked like real blood. I mean, it smelled like blood. And the guy who was wearing it said, "Yeah, it tastes like blood." Well, how do you know what blood tastes like? I guess it's a salty taste. So my job was to find out where he was hurt, where he'd been shot, and then pressurize that wound and put a bandage on it, which I did to the best of my ability. And I must have done a pretty good job, because the drill sergeant said, "Yeah, that's good. That's the way you do it." So, and we also had to treat for heat stroke and jungle infections, because these guys, let's put it this way, you were going to Vietnam, and you had to know these things and how to take care of them. Also, we had to do individual combat and survival training, which basically was how to set up a tent. They call it bivouac, but how to set up a tent, how to navigate with a compass, read a map, and then also part of that is I think it was nighttime. You had to crawl underneath a stretched out barbed wire field. You had to crawl underneath it with your gun, with your rifle, carrying it along, your weapon, and you had to. And at the same time, they were firing simulated machine gun fire over the top of your head. Now I say simulated because if you stood up, you wouldn't have got hurt. They didn't tell us that though. They're telling us this is the real deal, and you'd be passing these like where a bomb would go off, boom, smoke would come out, and like a hand grenade area, like they were throwing hand grenades at you. But that was all part of the training. You had to do it. You had to get through it. And you also had to do, and I think I mentioned it before, you had to do rifle training. Now, the thing with rifle training was you had to be able to qualify with the M16 A1 rifle. And you'd be in a foxhole with the rifle up, looking down the sight, and you'd be shooting these targets that would pop up. First one pop up was about 20 meters away, then 100 meters, then 300 meters. And you had to shoot at each one. And when you hit it, it would automatically go down. And then it might pop back up, and you had to shoot it again, and it would go down. And it was pretty cool the way they had that all set up. I liked that part. And then they would score you. You had expert, different training, different scores to reach on you to qualify. One was expert, one was sharpshooter, and the other one was rifleman. I think I didn't score expert the first time, but I did get the sharpshooter. So, and then we had to do PT training. PT training is basically you had to, the core of the event was push-ups, sit-ups, squat thrusts, where you bend and squat thrust, and you had to run 300 meters, was like for speed. And then you had to do a 2 mile, 1 mile. Well, when I was in basic training, it was a 1 mile run. And you had to run it in so many minutes, like a minute or so many minutes, and to pass. Some guys were really good at it. I was terrible. I did pass it, but I was pretty slow. And then we had an obstacle course you had to run. Now, it wasn't the obstacle course like the Marine Corps, the Marines did. Ours wasn't that intense. But you did have to jump over, it's called run, dodge, and jump. To jump over a ditch and then dodge back and forth through a gate, jump over another one, dodge between that gate, turn around, come back, do the same thing. And it was all on speed to see how fast you could do that and not fall in the ditch filled with water. And all in all, it was, it was pretty good. It was a lot and you had to do that all the time. The run, dodge, and jump, that was like an everyday thing. And of course, the push-ups and the sit-ups were all an everyday thing. And sometimes you had to do push-ups just because you screwed up, so drill sergeant would come over and say, drop down, give me 10. You know, you had to do 10 push-ups, and then you'd jump up, and then you'd be okay. So that's what basic training was about. Did I like it? No, I didn't really care for it. But I had to do it, and I did it. And it was over 8 weeks long. When I first got there, it was 8 weeks long. And then right after we graduated, it became 9 weeks. So, but anyway, that's that part.